Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 have been out almost a year now, and we're going to look at in this video, are they actually worth buying? Are they still worth buying? I mean, what's happened in the past year? What games have been released? I mean, are they really worth shelling out £400 to £500 on it? Has it been a good year for them? It's really been a tough year, to be honest, in more ways than one. But anyway, let's have a further look at both of these consoles and I'll give you an opinion where you really need to have one of these now. So before we get started, we'll have a look at the controllers. I think the PlayStation controller is definitely more sort of next gen than the Xbox one. It's got that haptic feedback on the sort of triggers and it is really cool. The only thing I don't like about it is it's quite heavy. Sort of prolonged play, you can sort of feel the fact that it's quite heavy. It feels good though, the buttons feel great. It's obviously top quality as you'd expect from a PlayStation controller. And it looks really nice. That haptic feedback is absolutely fantastic, no doubt about it. So if we look at the Xbox controller, it's quite safe. I mean, there's not a lot of difference between this and the Xbox One controller, apart from the D-pad. It's obviously a little bit different. And obviously there's the added sort of share button here. That's really it. I mean, it does feel a bit different. There's a different finish to it. It's got sort of more grippy sort of materials here on it, but it's safe. It's not as sort of next gen feel as the PlayStation 5 controller is, but it's still a great controller. There's no doubt about it. I suppose if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that's really the sort of way they went with this. It's still fantastic. I really like it. It's probably not as heavy as the PlayStation 1 and it still feels great in the hand. But yeah, it's not got that next gen feeling or look that the PlayStation 1 does have. So another thing obviously I need to touch on is the fact that the PlayStation 5 is huge. It is absolutely massive, so you need to bear that in mind when you're actually buying one. It's absolutely huge. Make sure you've got the space for it, check the dimensions of it. Ideally, I think if you've got space it looks better sort of standing up vertically rather than being horizontal like this. But horizontal, it just doesn't work, it looks terrible. You can see just down the bottom there, that's where the sort of discs go. But overall, I think it's really ugly. I don't like the design of it. It just looks really huge and cumbersome. You can probably see the Xbox, it's just a box. There's nothing special about it. It looks fine, it could hide in your cabinet easy, but it's quite of an awkward size, so height-wise, so make sure you check the dimensions of this as well, that it actually fits. It's a lot smaller than the PlayStation 5. And I think just like that one, ideally it should sort of stand upright as well, vertical. But I don't know how many people have actually got the space to sort of sit them like that. It just doesn't work for me. I just don't have the space to put them like that. It has to be sort of horizontal like this, and it can go either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's probably safe. It's really unadventurous as well by Microsoft. They've done the same with the controller, same with the box. It's just a box. But I suppose at the end of the day it's all about the games, isn't it? Okay guys, so we're going to look at the PlayStation 5 first. What the sort of dashboard's like, what the games are like. Has it really been worth having one the last year? So at the moment it's still, the dashboard is more or less how it was when it sort of launched. I think there have been a few updates since, but it's more or less how it is, and it's not, I don't think it's the greatest, to be honest. You've got obviously all your games as usual, as you would see in the PlayStation 5, the 4 sorry, and you've got sort of two sections, your games and media. If you want to sort of connect to your sort of Netflix, YouTube, it would all be in here if you want to, but I don't really use it for that purpose. I just use it solely as a games machine. So you've got your usual games all listed here, you've got all your settings. So when you get it, you can actually go in and transfer your saved data from the PlayStation 4, which is easy enough to do, but it can be a pain when you're actually first setting up. So sort of be warned of that, it can be an absolute pain. And there's settings on here to make sure that your TV is compatible and the different sort of resolutions that you want to have at 4K, HDR also on, all that. Like if you want to enable 120Hz as well, obviously you need a TV that's capable of doing that. So that's another thing that's apart with these consoles. If you don't have a 120Hz TV or even a 4K, there's probably absolutely no point in upgrading. So let's have a look at the actual PlayStation Store. There's sort of different options that you can see. If you're sort of PlayStation, got access to PlayStation Plus automatically. PlayStation Plus Collection, if you own the PlayStation 5, is completely free. So this is definitely a plus for me. Obviously, no pun intended. There are a lot of good games here that if you don't already own or hadn't owned through PlayStation 4, you can install and play for free. And I own some of the games, to be fair, but there was a few I didn't actually have. Like Days Gone, I've only recently installed this and played it, and it's really, really good. I probably should have got it at the time, but I kind of had dismissed it, but it's really decent. There's a lot of really, I mean, most of these games are all top drawer quality games, so if you did miss them first time round, here's somewhere to get you started. So you've got your exclusive discounts, monthly games. This month it's these 3 games that you can download if you're a PlayStation Plus member, which is the usual subscription if you want to sort of go online and play games online, etc. So if you go down to the actual games at the bottom, you've got PlayStation 5 only games or PlayStation 4 games. It's a bit messy. Xbox just combines them all into one. You can clearly see which is which. But on here it's a little bit messy. And the default view always seems to default to, like here it's new tool, but it includes like games aren't even out yet at the top, which I really don't want to see those bloody games. It's really annoying. So you're looking at games that aren't, you know, like Gran Turismo 7 hasn't come out to next year, neither is Horizon Forbidden West. So you need to scroll all the way down to figure out. I know there is more settings. You can probably change release date to just release, but you have to do that every single time you come in here, and it's an absolute pain. I don't know why it doesn't remember those settings, and every time you come in, I just find that extremely annoying. I don't know if anyone else has got that feeling of it, but yeah. So these are the games that have been released on the PlayStation 5 so far. And the problem for me, there's nothing massively exclusive that's been like amazing. There are some good games, we'll go over them, but a lot of these games you can actually get in PlayStation 4. So it does spawn the question, do you really want to update? Do you really need to update? What's the benefits from updating? You see there's not really a lot of games that are really solely exclusive. So you've got Deathflip, which go have a quick look at, which was released very recently, and it's not bad, but I'm not really massively impressed. There was a few other games as well. Death Stranding recently had a PS5 update, and that's really impressive. If you've played it before in PS4, you think, what's the point? There was also another game on here, but I guess it was obviously a PlayStation 4 game too. Okay, this is obviously just the release. Let's just change that to unfilter it. So some occasions, like Death Stranding, I had to actually pay £5 to upgrade to the PS5 version. Luckily I got that in a sale on the PS4 anyway, so I didn't pay a lot of money for it. But you know, I think it'd be good just to get that automatic upgrade for free. So you see there's lots of games, but there's nothing truly, wow, I must go out and buy a PlayStation 4. There's some good games, don't get me wrong, there are some really good games here. I think the first one that probably sat up and noticed was Returnal. This is probably the first PlayStation 5 exclusive game that's definitely got that next gen feeling about it, but it is unbelievably difficult, which we'll definitely have a look at that in a second. Little Nightmares was obviously one of the ones. I got this on Xbox instead, so I'll showcase that on Xbox, which I really enjoyed, but it's not really a next gen game. It doesn't really have that next gen feel to it. Again, looking back, Godfall, you can get on PlayStation 4, it wasn't amazing. Demon's Souls was good, but it's so hard as well. Obviously we had the sort of Spider-Man, Miles Morales, but you can get that on the PlayStation 4. Sackboy was quite good, but again another PlayStation 4. So there's not really an awful lot of out and out exclusive games that you could only get on the PlayStation 5. There wasn't a lot of them. Anyway, without further, let's have a look at a couple of the games I do actually own. Another thing maybe to touch on is the PlayStation 5 sort of button, which usually on the PlayStation 4 you press and it went back to home, but on here it doesn't. It just brings up this annoying menu down the bottom here, and you get access to notifications, settings and other things really, which is fine, but it's a bit annoying and it does get a little bit of getting used to. So anyway, let's have a look at the games. Okay, let's have a look at Returnal. Returnal is kind of like an Alien style game, and it's really good. It does have that next gen feel to it. It's absolutely fantastic, but it's hard. It's really hard as nails. I think this is probably the first game on either console that was definitely, wow, next gen. But is it worth going buying a PlayStation 5 for? You see, sort of graphically, it definitely screams next gen to me. It stands out. There's lots of great effects in the game. You sort of crash land on sort of planet and you kind of try to figure out what to do, where to go. And yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, you do end up, if you die, you return back to the same stage. And you need to try and learn all the levels again. So the trick is try to learn more about what's on this planet and how to actually escape from it. And no doubt it looks absolutely fantastic. Has a lot of great effects. But it does get really difficult. I'm sort of at the stage that I'm at a boss and I just cannot pass because I just don't have the patience to sort of pass it. But it's fantastic. If you have more patience than me, you will absolutely love it. It definitely has that sort of alien style feel to it. And I definitely really enjoy it. There's a lot to love. The effects are absolutely fantastic. But it's difficult. It really is a difficult game. But yeah, you can see the graphically, it absolutely screams next gen, doesn't it? It really does. I think the video footage really doesn't do it justice to how it actually looks sort of here. Anyway, let's move on to another game. So yeah, you press the sort of home button, it brings up this crazy menu. It's annoying, you need to press the home button again. So let's move on to another game. So Deathflip is another sort of PlayStation 5 exclusive. And it kind of looks quite nice. It kind of has that Bioshock sort of style feeling towards it. But again, I'm not really sure. It's amazing. It almost has a similar style to Returnal, where if you die, you go back to the start. And I think that's really quite annoying. It's almost like a lazy game design for me, rather than being an innovated one. So this is Bethesda, who I think they made the Bioshock games, and it does have that kind of vibe to it. It does look really good. Sort of beware, it does have a lot of swearing in it. It is very sort of adult generated. That's all really. It's got some violence obviously, but again, you sort of wake up on the beach every time after a level, you learn more about it, you go back through the level again. It looks great, no doubt about it, it looks fantastic. But yeah, you kind of start all over again, you need to learn everything. And you get some tips as you go. It's a strange game. I'm not really sure what the heck is going on, to be honest. I find it extremely confusing. It's like you're playing inside some sort of game. And it's really not massively clear, to be honest. Oh, it's interesting, it looks really nice, it plays really nice, but I think it's quite limited, to be honest, so far. It's what I've found. So obviously there's a lot of swearing in it, so I really need to be careful what I'm actually showing. Ratchet Clank, that was really good fun. Let's have a quick jump into that. And it has a lot of really next gen features which really are impressive. And you can see the graphics are fantastic, the way it sort of chops and changes with the effects. It definitely is impressive. You look at all the detail. You sort of get different frame rates as well. You can sort of change between performance and sort of graphics. You can turn on 120 Hz if you really want to. Obviously your graphics may go down slightly if you want the speed. It really just depends what you want to see. Sort of change the weapons here to give some a wee bit more oomph. And it's good fun, no doubt about it. It's absolutely great fun. It's not the hardest game. You can obviously set the difficult level to it to see fit, but it's not a hard game, it's just a fun game to play. I guess it's sort of more aimed at sort of kids than anything else. But I really enjoy it, it's great fun to play. And you can see it definitely screams next gen, absolutely screaming for me is next gen. There's not an awful lot more games, to be honest. I've been playing Days Gone, which is really a PlayStation 4 game. Death Stranding 5, let's have a look at that. This is a recent update from the PlayStation 4 version, and so I didn't actually play the PlayStation 4 version. I've been kind of waiting and holding off, but it's a weird game, but it looks fantastic, it really does. You know that it looks great. It's obviously got the actor from The Walking Dead. If anyone watches that, you'll instantly recognise him. You can use the toilet, use the shower, use the sink, or just go and choose a sort of mission. Check on BB. I mean, this is a strange game, absolutely bizarre and weird. But again, it was a sort of £5 upgrade. I don't know why you just didn't get it for free, rather than actually paying for it. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's kind of odd right enough, but it's one of those ones, Hideo Kojima, that has the loads of cutscenes, so yeah, beware of that. One game I've definitely, let's have a look at Dirt 5. I mean, this is one of the launch games, and I've still been playing it recently, and it's really good. It looks fantastic. It's quite a competitive game. The drivers are always there. This is something we're driving on ice, and the effects are absolutely brilliant. You can see your car starts off clean and ends up becoming wet, dirty and unrecognisable. Sounds like me when I was young going out to play. See lots of effects, lots of stuff going on. And the drivers are all over you, which is great. This is what you want to see in a game, but you don't want to sort of running away and it's too easy. You just get a little bit bored if that's the case. The effects are absolutely fantastic. This is why I'm still playing it. I really do like the old driving games. Anyway, took my attention off for a second there. So one of the other games that I've actually been playing a lot is Rekfest, which was actually a free game. It's a fairly old game. It was a PlayStation game upgraded. And a PlayStation 4 game upgrade, and it's fun. It was a free game a few months ago on PlayStation Plus, and I've really enjoyed it. I think it's fantastic. It reminds me massively of Destruction Derby. So let's have a quick look at it, where we're at. Can give you an idea of, it's just a crazy sort of Destruction Derby style game, and it's quick. The loading is super quick. Something obviously I need to touch on is unlike the Xbox, you can't quickly resume other games. Like I can't quickly jump back to a game I was playing. Like the Xbox, you can start loads of games, jump back and forth, and it resumes them extremely quickly. That doesn't work on here, which is kind of annoying. But it is what it is. But the games are quite quick at loading anyway. You can see none of the games have been particularly long. You can jump into the games particularly quick. This is fantastic fun. It's a no-brain. Try and win the race without getting destroyed, basically, and it's a great fun. It's a great laugh. There's lots of races, there's lots of cars, there's crazy destruction everywhere. It's mental. I thoroughly enjoy this game, and definitely has that Destruction Derby vibes going on, which is a great thing for me because that brings back memory of the sort of PlayStation 1 days. You see my car is an absolute wreck already. But yeah, I've kind of got it in a fairly easy, difficult setting because I really just like having a bit of fun with it, destroying the cars and try and win the race. I like all the sort of cars have crazy sort of names as well, which definitely is quite memorable. But anyway guys, that's the sort of PlayStation 5 and what it's like so far. I mean, I probably prefer the PlayStation 5 to the Xbox, and it's got a lot more going for it games wise, I think. But that might change. I think there's a great couple of games coming out in the Xbox for Christmas, where PlayStation's a little bit, not a heck of a lot going on. That's a bit of a toss up. I think right now it's not, I wouldn't say it was massively worth rushing out and trying to spend £400, £500 and getting one. And obviously even more when you sort of put in subscriptions and games to it. But yeah, it's not been a great year for either console, to be honest. I think it's going to take another year before things actually settle down and they are actually worth buying and rushing out for. Anyway, let's move on and let's look at the Xbox now. Okay guys, here we have the Xbox as it currently stands. Basically nearly 1 year on, and for us, to be honest with you, not a heck of a lot has changed 1 year on. So if you've got an Xbox One, Xbox One X for example, the sort of interface is pretty much the same. The only difference being the games, and that's possibly a good thing. I like actually the style of this. It's clean and it's easy to get to. So let's go quickly to the store. So if you go to, you've got the home button and store home, it takes you to this bit. You scroll down, there is a section here that says optimise for Xbox Series X and S, and it gives you an idea of what the games released so far this year. We sort of scroll through, there is a lot, but there's been nothing in the past year that's been mind-blowing that you really must go out and get yourself an Xbox Series X or S. I mean, I think it's nice to maybe upgrade, but at the same time there's no game I don't think that's really stood out that's been absolutely amazing. So you can see there's a lot of Game Pass games here, and that's quite a good offer. I've got a special offer that sort of gives me Game Pass till next year, and it's really good. You can sort of pick and install the games that you want, and it's decent value, but I'm not really sure. You really need to weigh up, do you want to have that and pay the extra month, or do you want to just buy the games? It's really up to you whether you sort of think it's worth it at the end of the day. I'm not particularly sure. I think it may differ from person to person. There is good value there. There are obviously a lot of the big top AA games are going there, like Forza and Halo. You can get them on Game Pass when they actually release, and that's really cool. You've got the Falconeer, which I really didn't like. I thought the control method was absolutely horrible, to be honest. I didn't enjoy it. What else did we get? So there's the Forza 4, which if you love Forza, it's just basically been upgraded, it looks slightly nicer. It's really difficult to tell, to be honest. I really need to do a comparison, but it's difficult to see. There's also a lot of games upcoming, but right now there's nothing. You've got Saints Row, which isn't due out to next year. You've got a lot of games that are not out. I think COVID has probably pushed a lot of games that were potentially due out now on a little bit, which is kind of frustrating. The Ascent was okay. It's kind of a top-down kind of shooter come game, and it's a kind of cyberpunk adventure, but it's pretty difficult. I'm not really into overly difficult games. You've got the upgraded version of Doom Eternal on the X. You get a free, if you already own the original, you get the free update, which is something that's good over the PlayStation, where sometimes you don't get the free upgrade to the sort of next gen version of it, whereas on the Xbox it doesn't matter. If you own the original, you'll get a free next gen upgrade, which is fantastic. Now we are still waiting, for example, we've got Forza Horizon 5, which is due out in November, which I'm really looking forward to. So at the time of this video, it's a month away, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I've not really played a poor one yet. So that's really something to look forward to, but that's only one game, and the only other game I can think of is really Halo Infinity, which is due out in December. And that's, for me, 2 games. There's other games, you think, really up to you. I don't see anything that's absolutely mind-blowing that you really need to have these consoles right now. At £500, don't know, if you can't afford it, I would definitely hold off and wait. Probably one of the games that definitely stood out for me was the Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's one of the few games I think it's possibly, if you love this type of thing, I had never played it before and I always wanted to. It's quite good fun. It's not mind-blowing, it's probably kind of boring, but it's kind of fascinating at the same time to play, and you can only play it on the Xbox Series X and S. And that's probably one title I think that definitely stood out over the year that is probably worth getting a console to play. But this one game, it's not a mind-blowing game. It's different. It's very different. A lot of people probably put off with the sort of boring style of it, but it's definitely different, and I think it's worth experiencing. And even better, it's on the Game Pass. You can probably play it for free. Otherwise, as you can see here, the sort of premium deluxe version is £88. It is a very expensive game to play outside Game Pass. It might be even worth getting a trial version for the Game Pass just to play the game. So this is the Game Pass. You want to actually look at this, see what's recently been added on the Game Pass. And see, there's a lot of really cool titles. If you're not really sure about sort of buying them, it's definitely worth having a little look at. You certainly shouldn't dismiss it, even if you get a free trial and try a few games, see if it's actually worth your while doing that. And there's a lot of really good games that get added. But yeah, let's have a look at the sort of game. The one thing it's definitely a plus on the Xbox over the PlayStation is the fact that you can jump into games instantly. So if you've played a whole sort of raft of games, you can jump back and forth between games instantly, and the loading times are fantastic. This is something the PlayStation does not do. So if you have a look at Evergate, for example, it instantly loads because I was already playing this. And this is quite a cool little game, but it is very, very difficult. It's got some nice effects, but I don't think there's anything here that you think, wow, is this next gen? It's difficult to say. I mean, it's very nice, for sure. You kind of it's kind of difficult to explain, to be honest. You've tried to sort of get access up to the top left hand corner to get to the exit. So I've got quick resume. I've got a few games here. You can actually completely stop them altogether. So I jump into Call of the Sea. You see it's got a quick resume and it'll sort of kickstart where you actually kicked off. You see that it's almost instantly, which is absolutely mind blowing for me. You don't need to wait at all in the loading times. And this game is, again, this is another one. It looks nice, but it's not really next gen for me. There's nothing about it that tells me, wow, this is next gen. This is kind of another kind of puzzler style adventure game. And it's not bad. It's got a lot of sort of head scratching puzzles in it that doesn't make any sense. So trying to make progress is kind of slow. Looks nice, but once you look into the detail, there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing mind blowing. You think, wow, that's next gen. This could be done in the original Xbox. There's nothing about it that's absolutely amazing. Maybe some nice lighting effects there on the sun, but other than that, that doesn't scream next gen to me. So let's have a look at another game. So we've obviously got the sort of latest FIFA game. It has some nice effects, there's no doubt. The lighting, you can clearly see that the lighting's quite cool. Unfortunately, some of the, obviously in the video here, you might not actually see some of the effects. Definitely the graphics are fantastic. You can see the detail. And yeah, I think they've definitely made a good effort on sort of trying to make this look a bit next gen-y. At the end of the day, it's still FIFA, isn't it? I don't know how they can actually make some of these games any better than they already are. And try to make people sort of want to buy them year in, year out. But yeah, it's still really cool. You certainly can't beat it. It's really cool. Poor header there. Medium, which, you know, I really wasn't sure about medium. This is one of the special games for Xbox Series X, and I don't know, that's kind of weird for me. Didn't really do anything, I really couldn't get into it at all. It kind of looks quite nice, and there's a lot of nice effects about it. I kind of got a bit bored, I just wasn't sure what I was actually supposed to be doing. It's obviously kind of a horror style game. But yeah, I wasn't really sure about it. Kind of looks alright though, it certainly looks alright. It's got some interesting effects going on. But yeah, I'm not really sure. The gameplay itself kind of seems a bit stiff to me. So it's kind of a horror element. So I honestly wasn't scared at any point. I didn't really find it scary. More weird than scary, to be honest. Anyway, I better move on before it gets too scary. Don't want to frighten my viewers. It definitely better. Let's have a look at Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that is fantastic. There's no doubt about it. It's a fantastic game. Not perfect. I'm thinking some of the graphics up close are pretty sort of blocky. It's worth an experience. I mean, the level of detail in a whole is pretty impressive. So this is the sort of flight simulator, and honestly it is cool, there's no doubt about it, and I have actually quite enjoyed playing it. It's not the easiest game to sort of get involved in, but once you get used to some of the basics, it's actually really good fun. It's quite a relaxing game, I think, to play. At times maybe boring. You can sort of make it more exciting by trying to crash, but yeah. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot of different viewpoints, a lot of different locations. It's kind of mind blowing. I definitely recommend everybody try and experience it. I think what you generally do is probably try and find your own house kind of thing, and it is possible to actually find. The detail isn't quite there right enough in every location, and it is a bit rough when you sort of get close to the sort of surface, but you can see it's still very interesting, fascinating. And I think you can clearly see there's a lot of detail even here, but once you sort of get right down to it, it's not amazing. I think it's still got some work, I think, to do. Pretty stunning though, it really is. Quite a relaxing game. It's a nice break from playing like a first person shooter, for example. I definitely recommend this one to anybody. I don't think there's really much more games I can sort of display. I'll have a look at Ori, I guess. I don't think there's many more I really want to sort of touch on. Yeah, let's have a look at Ori. I mean, that's probably one game that's absolutely mind-blowing for me. If you haven't actually played this, then this is the perfect time to pick up if you have an X. So guys, Ori and the Will-O-the-Wisp is definitely one of those games that stands out massively for me, that shows off next gen. And it looks absolutely fantastic. The lighting effects are just mind-blowing. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this to anybody. Yeah, it's pretty tricky right enough. It's been a while since I've played it properly. But it's absolutely stunning, great effects. You can actually play it in 4K. Sort of go to the options just to sort of prove you can actually have choice of what you want to play. You've got 6K at 4K graphics settings. You can play 4K at 120, 6K. You've got that option, which is really quite cool. I'm not really sure what's best, to be honest, but I think they both look fantastic. And this is fantastic. So guys, at the end of the day, is it worth getting an Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 right now? I'm not so sure. I really don't think it is massively worth it. I think you might be better off holding off till next year. I know right now it's really difficult to actually get one off the shelf. It's really frustrating for sort of parents, I guess, trying to get one for Christmas. But I would probably suggest even getting the sort of Xbox Series S, which is available, rather than the X. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're going for the X, you really need to have the TV to be able to play it in 120 frames per second. Because right now it just defeats the purpose a little bit by playing these games on a normal TV. You'd be as well just settling for a Series S. But yeah, I think right now I wouldn't panic. Honestly, I would wait till next year until there's actually stock on the shelf, and might even be a better price, because right now £500 is insane sort of to pay for a console, especially when the content's not really been there in the last year. Plenty of games, but nothing mind-blowing. I think next year is probably when we'll see that. Like PlayStation, we're still waiting Gran Turismo and sort of the new Horizon Dawn games, for example, that aren't due out to next year. But yeah, absolutely amazing game. I can't actually forget how to actually play this, to be honest, but it's brilliant fun. And it looks fantastic. You see the lighting effects are just absolutely mind-blowing. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. Please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time. I hope you've enjoyed that. Certainly one of the most outstanding games in the last year, that's for sure. Guys, thanks for watching. Bye for now.